Today I wanted to show you how to use MotioCI in order to create an issue on a JIRA server when a data source fails. And the data source that I wanted to use for this demonstration is called MotioCI. And let's go ahead and show you that in Cognos. Under configuration, I'll go to data source connections, and this is the one that we wanted to demo here. So let's go ahead and test the connection and make sure it's up and running. And as you can see, it says succeeded. So this data source is up and functioning well. Let's close out of here. And now let's test this back into CI. Now, in CI, under the admin project, I will navigate to that data source here under Cognos, and let's find that it's right here. And what I did, I created a test case called test, and I named it test data source. And underneath that, I created an assertion, and I called that JIRA data source validation. And when we run this test case, we should see that it should succeed because, as we saw, the data source is up and running and functioning just well. So let's go ahead and test that. There we go. So we got success. And just to be sure, let's go to JIRA, and I'm going to go ahead and click on all the issues. And as you can see, we did not create any issues because we didn't need to. The data source was functioning well. Now let's go back to Cognos and let's corrupt that data source. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and to connection, and what I'm going to do, I'll just go ahead and make a simple modification to the name. Okay, and let's test it one more time. And the logon has failed, so this data source isn't functioning any longer. So let's close out of these. Let's go back to MotioCI, and I do have active versioning turned on, so any changes we make in Cognos are automatically recorded with MotioCI, which is very convenient. Let's go ahead and run this test case one more time. Here we go. So it did fail, in fact, and let's go to JIRA and see if it did create an issue here. And there you go. So data source failure. Let's go ahead and open this up, and I want to see where this problem is coming from. So I go to MotioCI. As we mentioned, it is one of our data sources called MotioCI. Here it is. I click on it, and in the revision history tab, we can see here that the connection string had been altered. So this is how you can watch out for your data sources and be notified as early as possible through your JIRA ticketing system as soon as it happens. You might be asking yourself, hey, is there any way we can automate this process so that we don't have to manually go in and run test cases? So the answer to that question is yes, absolutely, and we'll do just that in CI. So we can add that test case to one of our test scripts, and for this one I'll choose the nightly because I want this to be run so that, you know, if there's any problems with our test or data sources, we would know about it when we get to the office in the morning. So let's go ahead and click on the nightly and the test script settings, and I wanted to add this as a new criteria. So let's go ahead and click on path equals, and I'll give it a path to our object, which in our case is the MotioCI data source. There it is. So that's our data source. Click on OK, and there you have it, as easy as that. So our test case will now run with all the other nightly test cases, and if there are any problems with our data source, we'll get a fresh ticket waiting for us in the JIRA so that we can go ahead and address the problems as early as possible.